Okay, good evening. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Urbana City Council for Monday, May 6th, 2019, and this will be followed by a meeting of the Cunningham Town Board. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council members Brown.
Here.
Hazen.
Here.
Hersey.
Here.
Jacobson. Here. Miller.
Here.
Roberts.
Here.
Wu.
Here.
Mayor Marlin.
Here. Next up is approval of minutes from two previous meetings, April 15th, 2019, and an April 22nd special meeting of the Urbana City Council. Is there a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
Moved by Sharice, seconded by
Dean.
Dean. Are there any corrections?
No.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Are there any additions to the agenda? Okay. Next up is public input. I have one card from the public for the council meeting. That's from Bishop King James and Reverend Evelyn B. Underwood. Reverend Dr. Evelyn B. Underwood. They choose not to address members, but they express that they're continually concerned about the Dr. Ellis subdivision sewer problem. Does anyone else wish to address the Urbana City Council during public input? Okay. I don't see any unfinished business before the council. Are there reports of standing committees? Dennis?
Yeah, I attended the annual meeting of the Illinois Sister Cities Association in Roselle, Illinois. It was probably one of the best sets of workshops I've attended. Really good, excellent ones that were offered to the people who are participating. And it's a city that has a Polish sister city, and the theme was Polish and Polish foods. And we met, actually on Friday, it was Polish Constitution Day, so they were celebrating what would be like their 4th of July. And at the end of the meeting, I ended up being elected to the state board, so I'm going to be serving another 3-year term. So anyway, so it was a good event, and we're staying connected with our sister cities across Illinois.
Okay. Thank you. Reports of special committees? Reports of officers. I think we have one from Preston James. Oh, and then followed by Libby Tyler, or Libby Horowitz. Sorry.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Hello, Preston.
All right, okay. So now we can go. All right, so good evening, like I said. My name is Preston James. I work in the Human Relations Department. I'm the Community Relations Specialist is my job title. I want to kind of just give you a little information on some things that we've been working on leading up. The first one we're going to speak about is a pilot program. Right now we're calling it the Urbana Youth High School Program. It is modeled after the Goal Getters program in Champaign, if any of you are familiar with that. It was a collaboration between the City of Champaign, the Champaign County Community Coalition, and the Unit 4. This one would be a collaboration, if everything goes through, between the City of Urbana, USD 116, and the Community Coalition as well. The purpose of the program is to provide targeted support, training, and guidance to some of our more challenged students at USD 116. The objective of this program is to provide behavioral guidance, membership, social emotional learning opportunities, family-focused activities, and positive community experiences. I stated who it was collaboration between. We're looking to identify 6 current freshmen and 6 incoming freshmen from the Urbana High School and the Urbana Middle School. That's through the District 116 staff at the high school and at the middle school. There is a stipend included in this program as well. It is a 2-month program over the summer, which they would meet twice a week. Right now, we have it slotted for Tuesdays and Thursdays, except for the first week will be a Tuesday and Wednesday. The time slot would be from 5:30 to 8, right when they get into their trouble hour for a lot of them. We have space accommodations. We have an agreement pending the approval from all parties with the Urbana Connections, Neighborhood Connections. There will be a volunteer requirement for these youth. Some of the things that the presenters will be coming in to present on would be trauma, mental health services, a reality check, somebody who has been in trouble and can give them a little wisdom on not taking that same road, peer conflict resolution, cultural awareness, reading and writing prompts, police contact, employment and training opportunity, interpersonal relationships, and so on. The plan for this, hopefully if everything goes well, when we're presenting to the Urbana School Board tomorrow evening with this, with leadership from Urbana High School. If this goes well, the plan is for us to start June 4th with a kickoff barbecue with the families and the students on June 1st. So before I move on to the next thing, are there any questions about the information I just provided?
Bill?
Yes, sir.
Have you said anything about funding? Who's funding this?
Well, it's going to be funded. It'd be a collaboration between the city of Urbana, and that funding would come from the outreach portion that we have in the Human Relations Department. It's not asked for an additional funding or budget amendments. The Community Coalition has already agreed, and we're just pending the Urbana District 116 funding.
Do you know what the total budget is for this?
Yes, I do. So the total budget would be $10,002. That includes the summer and 9 sessions during the school year, because you would meet once a month with them as well during the school year. How that breaks down is the stipends, there's supplies and space and field trip funding, and then food as well.
Mary Alice, and then Eric, and then
So staffing, who's providing all the staffing and oversight of the program? Are you? Is that?
It's going to be
city's roles?
myself, Jorge Elvir, Mr. Henderson from the school, and a bunch of volunteers that have agreed to assist us with this. We've also, I've been in talks with Reverend Carruthers about collaborating programs to help each other. So it's going to be a work in progress, but I think we're going to be able to get it done.
Thank you.
Eric, did you have a question?
Sure. So to my eyes, this looks and sounds very good, but I'm not an expert. So in that context, I'll ask, are there programs in other cities that would serve sort of as a model for how to make this work and how well it works that
Absolutely.
one could access?
So we modeled this program. I worked closely with Sheldon Turner and Tracy Parson over there in Champaign with their Goal Getter program, which they've run this whole past year. And they're going into their second year of the program. I actually attend their meetings, but more as a example mentor type setting when I attend the Goal Getter program. So we're modeled it off of that with a little Urbana twist.
The kids will select their own name for the program.
Yes, and model.
And model. Sharice?
So how is District 116 integrated into this?
Well, because it's dealing with Urbana
But like, what I mean is like, is the school board, will they have a say, or does the superintendent, or? you know?
Well, they absolutely have a say on whether
Okay.
they're going to put their third in.
Okay.
As far as it's a collaboration with the school, so I've been working with the administration at the high school and the middle school.
Okay.
I've also had several meetings with Dr. Williams in reference to this, Janice Mitchell,
Todd, what's
how did I
his
forget her
name?
name? Another person at the middle school.
Yeah, okay. I was just wondering because.
Linda Gibbons.
Okay, because I know that, so this is a collaboration with the city and the district
And the coalition, correct.
and the coalition, okay. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Bill?
So is participation completely voluntary? Are they, nobody is like sentenced to this, right?
No, this is not probation or parole. I can't make them come, but
And is there
the financial aspect kind of helps them along that way. Because if they don't complete the program, and I didn't mention this earlier, they will have contracts assigned, them and their parents, along with us as far as the staff involved. And if they don't complete the requirements, then each thing that they do not complete, their stipend goes down.
Okay, so that's the incentive. So in Champaign, has there been more demand? How many participants are there in Champaign?
Well, they had a lot more than we're going to be able to have.
Okay.
But
How
I think they started, and I don't quote me on the number, but I know it was over 30.
if we have like 15 or 20 people interested and only 12 slots, how do you pick?
Well, we're going to narrow it down to the most active. If we have 15 that say yes, then we're going to go with the top 12 based on staff contacts, outside city community contact, and then during the school year, we're able to include them in, and if the program is highly successful, we may try to find some other funding avenues to continue.
Okay, thanks.
Eric and then Sharice.
What would be, suppose you have, as a hypothetical, 15 youngsters who look motivated and in a position to really benefit from this, but you've only got 12 slots. What would be the incremental cost of adding the additional youngsters?
If we kept the stipends the same, we would have to add another 1,500.
Another 1,500 for three, so about $500 a
Yes,
kid.
sir.
Okay. If you get in a situation like that, I don't know, reach out. I just hate to think about a few kids. I mean, so here's what I'm mindful of. I know a number of years ago, Naomi's way my better half, but she took note that in Martin Luther King scholarships, there was somebody who got an honorable mention but didn't get any funding. So she said, oh my gosh, to me, we've got to step forward and fund that extra kid, because that's a terrible situation to be in. I mean, it's great that they've got the honor, but it's must be so frustrating. So I would just ask you to, if you have kids in that situation, a few kids in that situation, please, reach out to us, or, whatever. Let's try to get them in there.
Greatly appreciate that.
Sharice?
What kind of activities or curriculum or whatever you're going to use, what does that entail?
So as far as the curriculum, we have 2 books. Are you talking about academic, or are you talking about just
I'm talking
social,
about,
emotional?
because you said we're going to meet, we're twice a week. Are they going to be out in the neighborhood getting familiar with people that, that they kind of probably need to be familiar with? Or are they is it one of these things where they have a curriculum, where they have a in-class activity, so to speak, that they have to complete? Or is it something that they would have to do on those 3 days that they're not there? Will they be supervised in doing, if they're out? I know you said a field trip and something like that. So what, not, written in stone, but what is the idea of how you're going to put this forward?
So that's an excellent question. So we have it broken down in time slots. So for the proposal, at least, the first time that they're there, they'll have a meal. We're going to provide a meal each time they come, and a presenter will be coming in a majority of the time. The field trips would be like to Sean Williams Funeral Home, the coroner's office, JDC, the housing authority, because Mr. Northern would like them to come there so that he can present to them there and show them around. And so those would be kind of the field trips. We also are going to have strongly suggest midnight basketball volunteering. Can't necessarily make them, if they don't want to come, they, you just lose some money. But there's most of the time the presenters will be coming to them at Urbana Connections.
Okay, so they'll be. Will there be any other requirements other than them being, going
Well, yes, stay
field trip?
yourself out of trouble.
Yeah, well, I know that.
That's
Okay.
definitely a strong requirement. But there's a couple books
Okay.
that they're going to read and have writing prompts over. Let me see if I have that right in front of me. So one of them is going to be, the summer book is going to be Dope Sick by Walter Dean Myers.
Okay.
And then the fall book is going to be, the proposed fall book is going to be Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds.
Okay. Dope sick.
Yes. DOPE, sick, yes.
And the long way down. These are
Yes.
tween books, or
Yeah, they're what I would consider easy read books.
okay.
They're not going to have supercalifragilisticexpialidocious in them. And,
Okay.
They're going to have more easier reading and things that relate to them and the things that they may be going through.
Okay. The other question I have is there some type of at the end of the program, some type of, graduation or certificated, something that they get to say that you did this and now we hope you don't, get in any more trouble?
Well, that's another good question. So there will be at the end of the summer, after Mayor Marlin comes in and then the administration come in to talk to them about expectations, city expectations as well as district expectations. There will be a kind of a promotion that's still in the works, though, as far as the structuring of that. But it is kind of a situation where hopefully it'll be a continuum so that, it continues on throughout the school year. They continue to come and then they bring their other people who are out there causing disruptions, but they may not be the top ones at the time. Then we can continue that with them and have a end of year celebration with them. But the key to them, the thing they're going to care about more than that celebration is that check.
You hope.
That they're
Okay.
going, well, yeah, but when I'm at the school every day now since for the past couple months, and the one thing I hear more than anything else is money. They care more about that money than they do about a lot of other different things.
Or will there be any other kind of community interaction? Meaning, and this is just me. Okay? I think that the children should interact more with the community where they are
Right.
and understand the civics of being in a society. In other words, there are rules that everybody has to abide by. And without it being like on record, or meaning that, the judge says you have to do this. But just for them to get to know their neighbors, people around them that live in the same area that they live in, go and help somebody to take their garbage out, go in, help someone in their yard, go, understand that you affect, what your behavior does affects the people that are around you. Is there any kind of, anything like that that's going to be?
That sounds like a block party within your neighborhood that we can come to and assist.
Well, all I'm saying is that it seems like it would, I think it would, they might better understand what they're going to inherit. Okay? And maybe what they're going to inherit isn't that great, but only they can make it better. And so if you want to make it better, you start when you're young, and you try to actually contribute. And one way to contribute is to get to know the people around you and help the people around you. And I didn't know if that was going to be part of,
That has not been, as far as that specific activity, has not been implemented at this time. But we definitely have room to talk.
Okie dokie.
Any other questions? Okay. I think you had one other
Yes.
topic you wanted
So, I almost forgot there. So, as you guys know, most of you were here, I believe, when we did the perspective insights of a traffic stop. We're doing the second addition to that perspective series, starting actually tomorrow. Hopefully, it doesn't rain too bad on us, but we have identified 6 Urbana High School students, 2 females and 4 males, and 3 of our officers are going to start the action portion of the pedestrian stop video tomorrow by the high school. And then, as most of you know who've watched the video, there's a discussion part that the students are involved in to speak about the actions and the woulda, coulda, shouldas with the officers as well. And that's very impactful. That's the most impactful thing I heard every time somebody watched the video. Man, I love the discussion part. So the proposed start time for the recording is tomorrow, and hopefully the rain hold off. So just wanted to give you that information.
Thank you very much,
All
Preston.
right, thank you.
Libby Horwitz.
Good evening, Libby Horwitz, Economic Development Coordinator. I was recently here, so not many major updates. Satara has reopened after a transition ownership, extensive remodeling, as well as repair of the fire that happened in 2017. Additionally, Green Street Realty has closed on 200 South Vine, and they hope to complete demolition in the upcoming weeks. Lastly, Matt Cho was recently awarded the Economic Development Impact Award at the Champaign County Innovation Celebration for his projects in downtown. There are, however, many events coming up that I would encourage people to attend, starting with tomorrow, which is a information session at SBDC as part of Small Business Week. Economic Development will be giving a presentation on incentives available and help that the program can give to new businesses starting. On May 12th, the first Think Urbana Neighborhood Tour will be at Addie's Bar and Grill. That is a series of sponsored tours of different developments in Urbana to promote the Think Urbana program. Atkins Group is sponsoring that program, and there will be a golf cart tour and drinks to follow, and that is free and open to the public. After that event is the May 15th, the Visit Champaign County Annual Toast to Tourism. And on May 19th is the Urbana Arts and Culture Young Artist Studio. A new event was just created on the 21st in the morning, 8 to 9. We will be sponsoring the Coffee with a Builder with the Home Builders Association. So that's also to promote the Think Urbana program. And we will be talking a little bit about Think Urbana as well as Citizen Serve and how that can impact developers. Also on May 21st will be the Business and Development Luncheon, and that's going to be a panel discussion on creativity and the arts in downtown Urbana. On May 25th is the Urbana's Downtown Get Down, and that will be the premiere of that event, and that will be ongoing throughout the summer. And that's going to feature artists and maker spaces and different musical events as well. And then May 28th is the Urbana Association's Connections Over Cocktails. Also, the farmers market started this last weekend and is now open for the season. Thank you.
Any questions for Libby? Sharice?
When does the downtown get down again?
Sorry about that. The first one is Saturday, May 15th, 5 to 8 p.m.
25th.
25th, thank you.
Okay.
Saw it here. Thank you.
And okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Libby. Any other reports of officers? Okay, we move on to new business. First item is resolution number 2019-05-009R, which is a resolution accepting a law enforcement camera grant from the Illinois Law Enforcement Training Standards Board. You have a memo in your packet. Chief Seraphin, did you want to make any comments on this, or this is standard? Okay. Does anyone have any questions for the chief? Mary Alice.
Come on up. Hey, if it's money, I got a question.
I'll try to have an answer.
All right, so we have $125,000 that's been awarded as a grant to pay for some of the recent equipment that we purchased, correct?
Yes.
So where is the $125,000 going? I mean,
Back-
we is it going back into the equipment fund that we have that?
Correct.
Said it. Okay,
They
so it
wouldn't
is
go to my vacation fund. So
Okay.
yes, it's going in back into the vehicle equipment replacement
VERF?
fund. The
Gotcha.
VERF, correct.
that's all I wanted. Thank you. Now,
Any other questions?
Hey,
Jared?
Chief Seraphin, so are we going to get a chance for a demonstration sometime after everything gets implemented to see maybe what was before? I know a little bit because I've been down and looked at what was before, but I haven't seen any of the new stuff. So
So the answer to that is yes, we can do that right now. The body cameras were all pushed out sometime after the first of the year. The squad cars didn't come quite as soon as we wanted them. We were going to try to do it all as a rollout together. I think that's what we presented last fall, but we elected to go ahead and get the body cameras out. So right now, some of the officers have two systems. Their squad car is one system and their body camera is another. As each car gets turned over, we're slowly getting away from that issue. So yes, we should be able to come up with one of those staff reports and have a little demo and maybe a little before and after.
sure, that'd be cool.
Cool.
Sharice?
Where is the information stored? And does this grant cover the storage?
So this grant covers it. This grant covers, it was specifically designed for the cameras and the install and associated infrastructure at a certain amount for each squad car, and then for each body-worn camera. So we had 13 squads at $57.52, 57 body-worn cameras at $895, and that all adds up to $125,791. Currently, the camera footage and all the filed events is in a server in our evidence vault.
Okie dokie. And someone maintains that and makes
Correct.
checks for digital degradation and all that?
Yes, we have that. Yes, I'm very confident on how we got that covered.
Okay.
All right.
Eric?
I remember some time ago when the issue of body cameras first came up, that one of the major challenges was going to be handling the data. But by virtue of not hearing anything about that this time around, I'm guessing that that challenge has been met, and everything's okay with that.
At this point, I will say so far so good. I think we're working on ways to be efficient with regards to how we share that data with, for instance, the state's attorney's office. I know there's a project underway where they can access this system directly themselves. I know that other agencies have done things, have been burned to hard drives, and people walk them across streets and whatnot. And we're trying to avoid that. But so far so good. I think. I think we're in a good place. But we will keep monitoring that.
Jared,
I'd like to make a motion.
go
I'd
ahead.
like to move resolution number 2019-05-009R, a resolution accepting a law enforcement camera grant from the Illinois Law Enforcement Training Standards Board for approval.
Second.
Moved by Jared, seconded by Mary Alice. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmembers Brown.
Yes.
Hazen.
Yes.
Hersey.
Yes.
Jacobson.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
And Wu.
Yes.
That motion passes. Thank you. Next up are some appointments to boards and commissions. I have 3 tonight. First is for the Urbana Free Library Board, Guadalupe Mejia, term ending June 30th, 2021. She is the Chief of Optometry at the VA Ileana Healthcare System in Danville, specializes in the rehab of people with blindness and vision impairment. Her expertise lies in accommodation, educational resources, community independence for persons with visual disabilities, and we thought she would make an excellent addition to the library board, both in terms of bringing, a different perspective, but different professional expertise to the board in terms of reaching the visually impaired. Second nomination is for Jacob Torres. He's a PhD student in entomology at the U of I. He's a strong interest in urban ecology and the marriage of ecological and sustainable land practices, and this is for an appointment to the Tree Commission. And then the third appointment is for the Community Development Commission, Patricia Jones, term ending June 30th, 2021. She's an Associate Director for Research at the Beckman Institute for Advanced Science and Technology at the U of I. She's interested in contributing to community development at the municipal level. So I would entertain a motion for these 3 appointments.
I'll move approval of these 3 appointments.
I'll second.
Moved by Eric, seconded by Dennis. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, that motion passes. We have one other appointment, and this is for the position of temporary lieutenant with Sergeant Matthew Bain. Matthew Bain is a 19-year veteran of the Urbana Police Department, most recently assigned as sergeant in the Criminal Investigations Division. He's highly respected by his peers, and he's exhibited tremendous skill and dedication throughout his career. His resume was included in your packet, and Sergeant Bain is with us tonight, if you want to wave. I'll entertain a motion for this appointment.
I would like to take the honor to
All right.
make the motion for that appointment personally.
That'll be moved by
I'll
Dean.
second it.
Seconded by Jared. Are there any discussion or questions? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion passes. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Lieutenant Bain. With no further business before this body, this meeting is adjourned.
Well, one of grad students figured out how to watch it live, so he gave a screenshot, and he said, make a motion for an HD live stream. You know what I want? I want all of the meetings to be podcasts, so that you can subscribe whenever anyone is posted, people want to listen. That's what I want. I don't think it'll be that. But
Probably fairly inexpensive. Yes.
Have you made arrangements for your birthday party yet? Not yet. Let's talk after. Make sure you have one, because you gotta get one that you like.
Okay. All right, we'll begin this meeting of the Cunningham Town Board for Monday, May 6th, 2019. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustees Brown.
Here.
Hazen. Hersey.
Here.
Jacobson.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Roberts.
Here.
Wu.
here,
Minutes of the previous meeting, April 1st, 2019. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Was that Jared?
That was me.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Jared, seconded by Sharice. Any corrections? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Any additions to the agenda? Public participation. Does anyone wish to address the Cunningham Town Board? Okay. Next up is Committee to Verify Bills, the Town Fund, and General Assistance Fund.
Okay. It was a very busy day in the office, and all of your printouts are sitting on my desk. I apologize. So I emailed the supervisor's report to you right before this meeting. You did have the bills on Thursday. In the town fund, we had $67,285.36. In the general assistance fund, we had $99,480.50, and that comes to a total of $166,765.86. Yeah, I'll stop there, and then I can talk about the stats in my memo.
Any questions on this?
I'll move approval of the funds.
Okay, I'll second that.
Moved by Jared, seconded by Dennis. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Reports of officers.
Okay. So just in terms of general assistance participants, we're seeing a tapering off of participants for a second month in a row. So we're now down to 106, down from 112 total. And it's a mixture of the tapering off is, the sixth lost is a mixture of folks who were canceled from our programs due to non-participation in the community work program, and also folks getting employment. There's about half and half. Some folks moving into jobs and we're still working with folks who disconnect from our program, trying to work on some of the root issues. They primarily, they tend to be related to mental health or substance abuse when that does happen. And so we're going to be meeting with Rosecrans to talk specifically about how we could tighten up that partnership. We have 32 who participate in community work fair. One right now on the job search track. That's down from 4, so the 3 who were on the job search track actually got jobs and moved off this last month. 52 are disabled seeking SSI or SSDI. 28 are homeless. In fact, a number of the people who we tend to see cycling off are homeless, and the average age stays steady at 49 years old. In homeless assistance, we served 6 this month, down from 13 last month. We had 5 rental assistance cases, including 3 homeless individuals who were able to get into housing. One homeless gentleman had actually been homeless for 10 years, and this is his first place of residence in subsidized housing in those 10 years. He's totally ecstatic. And it's been a long road because there were a number of things having to do with to clear up so that he could move into housing. And then we had 1 eviction prevention case. In fact, many of the cases, all 5 cases were actually cases of moving into subsidized housing. Steer Place, which is a housing for seniors and disabled residents in Urbana, had a waitlist opening in March, and we called every single person on our list. I have an intern who specifically calls through to help people get on subsidized housing. He called through everyone multiple times, helped everyone he could apply for housing. We helped 13 households apply, and a number of those are folks who were able to get into Steer Place. Also, this last month, I spoke at the Fair Housing Conference. Hope is a fair housing center in Chicago that was started at the same year of the Fair Housing Act. And I spoke specifically about how to advocate before your elected officials in moving housing advocacy policy. So that was really exciting. And I hope to be discussing with the Human Relations Commission some of the ways, some recommendations our office has in terms of addressing housing discrimination. And then last but not least, we are launching our township garden events. We have a garden coordinator, 2 garden interns, and if you look, you'll see a lot of greens that are coming up. It's a beautiful space. We were recently received 71 seedlings for tomatoes. We're not sure if we can use 71, but we're really happy. Part of what we'll do is we're going to be putting them into container gardens and helping people make their own container gardens to take home. So our event launches in the document that I sent you. There's an invitation. I'll also be sending around an invitation that you can share with your networks. May 25th, which is a Saturday, from 4 to 7 p.m. It'll be part of the Get Down downtown. The downtown Get Down will be a piece of that equation. So we're in partnership with the city of Urbana. Wooden Hog Barbecue is going to be helping to provide some barbecue, and we'll have live music by Karina Say. And then people will be able to make container gardens to take home. We're still looking for containers, so if you're cleaning out, anyone who's listening, if you're cleaning out your garage for spring cleaning, we could use additional containers. You can just drop them in front of the township, and we will sanitize and organize and prepare them so that people can plant any kind of small, not the little tiny seedling one, but any of the pots. So any kind of transportable pots that we can put plants in. We want to grow a lot of things in Urbana this year. And I think that's it for my report. Wayne, did you have a report from officers? I'll make room.
So this month, the assessor's office, we've been busy valuing, getting ready to send a little notices to everybody and let them know if their assessments are going up or down. It's a very exciting time for our office. As far as those increases, the neighborhoods that do get increase, I mean, it'll be around 2%, but those numbers haven't been finalized yet. We're coming up, we're also looking at commercial values, and those will be seeing quite a bit larger of an increase. And because of that, we sent out a piece of mail to every commercial parcel. We send it to the same address that their property tax bills go to, basically asking them to come meet with us on May 29th so we can talk about what's going on with commercial assessments. If you ever look, a lot of commercial assessments haven't changed in the last 8 years or more, and that needs to be corrected. So I sent out a letter to basically every taxpayer that has a commercial parcel, so we can talk about the next steps.
Time and place.
It's going to be here, May 29th, here at the City Council chambers from 11:30 to 1:30. We have about, so every year we send out mail to every senior that gets a senior exemption. What happens is the county assessor requires that every senior that gets a senior exemption sign a letter saying that both they're still over the age of 65 and they still live in the property. That was actually in your bill today. It was like $700 worth of postage that went to the county assessor's office. After looking more into this particular issue, what happens is that everyone getting this piece of mail is over the age of 65. Quite a few people are low income, and they get confused by the letter, right? Why do we have to certify that we're still over the age of 65? It's not like we're getting younger. As far as I know, Tom Brady doesn't live in a township. So, I actually hope to have discussions with the county assessor to see if we can go about changing this. Vermilion County, they don't send out letters. They just wait for the property to change hands, and then they take away the senior exemption. Obviously, we would have to mail annually to some people because the senior freeze, that varies based on your income, and you have to certify that every year. As of right now, we have about 400 people that haven't returned their forms to certify that they are in fact still over the age of 65 and live in the property. On the agenda today is a request to intervene in PTAB, and I can talk more about that particular request when we get to that. But there are about 4 other cases that are working their way through the system that I'll likely intervene in the future. We've also we're almost finished with installing the new assessment software. At this point, the provider is customizing the software to kind of our taste, and that's going pretty well. And for the past 2 weeks, I have been bugging the county clerk about tax extensions, and we finally got it, so I'll be discussing that with Danielle over the next couple days. Any questions?
Thank you, Wayne. Is there any unfinished business? Okay, we'll move on to new business. First up is resolution number T 2019-05-007R, which is a resolution authorizing Cunningham Township Supervisor to sign a user agreement with socialserve.com for access to the statewide referral network.
So this is an exciting user agreement because it will allow us to actually access and directly use a list for needy individuals and families who are looking for housing. So that includes people who are homeless, those who are disabled, and people who are in vulnerable situations. We're going to get trained all of our staff will be trained in the statewide referral network. It will actually participate in partnership with the Housing Authority in a larger training of social services to better access this network. And I might have mentioned to you everyone who receives tax credits, like every property that receives tax credits, is required to set aside a certain amount of units for references to the statewide referral network. There are 70 approximately units in Champaign County that should be doing this, but they're not. And so essentially, we're in the process of identifying, or doing it in an uneven way, but mostly we're unaware of this or not participating in it. So what we want to do is be able to refer people to the statewide referral network and then have those referrals come back to the community. And then essentially the property managers are required to hold those spaces open for 30 days for referrals from statewide referral network. And then if they don't have someone who qualifies, they can fill it. Obviously, they might have an interest in not renting to vulnerable populations and just going ahead and filling it, and that's part of what's been happening. So we're really trying to make some reform in how the statewide referral network works with our local community and tax credit housing to ensure that, we have a number of homeless individuals in the community, and we have empty units that in some cases have project-based vouchers attached to them that remain empty for months on end. And so we're really trying to fix this problem of in the model of rapid rehousing rather than just relying on emergency shelter, trying to get folks into housing opportunities. So this is just, I want to give you this is a small piece of the puzzle, but the big picture is let's make full use of all the housing resources we have in our community. And the Housing Authority has really kind of helped to lead the way and brought this to my attention that this was happening. And then we're in the process of, once we can use it, we can actually help other groups and homeless service providers through the continuum of care table access this service. So I would hope that you would give me the power to sign this so that we can move forward with that partnership.
Is there a motion?
I would do that. I move adoption of Resolution T 2019-05-00R, resolution authorizing the Cunningham Township Supervisor to sign a user agreement with socialserve.com for access to the statewide referral network.
Second, or I defer to the honorable member from Ward 3.
Seconded by Sharice. Any further discussion? Bill?
So this just allows Cunningham Township to access this referral network. How does this overlap with like the county 211, and what do the other 20 or 30 townships in the county do?
Well, I don't know what the other townships do. That's for another discussion. But I will say that essentially what happens when you call 211, which is important, and people should know that 211 is the number to call if people are needing services in the community. In theory, if all of the agencies regularly keep their information up to date at 211, then a caller can refer people to the agency in need. If you're homeless or you're facing eviction, that caller should be referred to centralized intake for the homeless and the rental assistance hotline on the county level. The issue is that you don't get on the statewide referral network until you have case management. You have to have a case manager. So it's really important that if the case managers through the agencies need to be hooked up to the statewide referral network. And it's also the case that until you receive an assessment as a homeless family, you aren't entered into the statewide referral network. And only those who have case management receive that. So actually the vast majority of families who are now being screened by centralized intake for the homeless are not referred to the statewide referral network because they require case management, and there is no case management attached to the centralized intake for the homeless, which is a problem that we need to solve structurally. So we're basically bypassing that for now and going to directly post our participants to the statewide referral network while also working with centralized intake for the homeless, but understanding that these two things are parallel, and that we're working essentially, there's case management is not really hooked up to homeless intake at this point. And that best practices across the country is as soon as a homeless individual or resident is identified or family is identified, they should have a case manager, even if housing is not available to them. And they should, or an advocate of some sort who's basically tracking and following that case. And so that is a broken piece of the system we need to solve. So we definitely at the township, if a homeless family or individual comes in, they're in our system and we can support them as long as they live in Urbana. If they're in Champaign, we refer them to Champaign. But essentially, if they're in Urbana, we track and support them through that process. So we now basically qualify our participants for the statewide referral network in a way that did not exist before. And I'm really hopeful that this will mean that we can kind of crack this nut. There's several stages to it, and be able to, what we have is a master list of every person we work with who's homeless, and we essentially have the goal of getting everyone into subsidized housing of some sort. whether that's through the Housing Authority, which only has open wait lists at particular times, or other kinds of subsidized tax credit housing that does not work through Housing Authority at all. Or it's whether through this, going through the statewide referral network through the state and back. So we basically are going to use all available means to get people into housing, and we're going to track and support them until they get into housing. And I'm hopeful that in future reports, we're still putting our case management software doesn't do what we want it to do yet, but I should be able to actually report to you everyone who we're tracking, whether they are on GA or just have received homeless assistance, or we're advocating for them in some way, like they don't qualify for either, and we'll track what their status is in terms of their housing. And we actually are going to color code folks by red, yellow, and green. So basically, you're red if you're street homeless or in a very precarious situation. You're yellow if you are vulnerable, and then you're green if and you're paying more than you can in terms of your rent, and you're green if you're in a stable situation. So hopefully our office will actually be able to see who is facing homelessness and housing insecurity, and over time, through our advocacy efforts, use all the available means. This is just one piece of that equation. And there is quite a bit of systems fixing to do in that regard. At some point, I'd be happy to talk further about that.
So, since it's a statewide referral network, does that mean that if somebody here has family in another town in the state or has some opportunity, they'd really rather live someplace else, then we could possibly find subsidized housing near those locations?
It's totally statewide, and it goes the other way as well. If somebody would like to relocate to our community, that's almost always because they have family or some connection here. They could use it as well. So it does provide additional flexibility.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Does this require a roll call? Voice? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion passes. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
For a resolution?
All right, will the clerk please call the roll?
Yes.
Hersey,
Yes.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
and Wu.
Yes.
That motion passes. Next up is ordinance number T 2019-05-001, which would be the ordinance approving the annual budget and appropriation ordinance for fiscal year 2019-2020. And a reminder, you'll be, when the comes time for action, you'll be designating this as the draft budget and placing it on file for a public hearing on July 1st, 2019, and possible final vote at that time.
So my suggestion in terms of a process is we've published this and offered it to you as of last Thursday. Essentially, what we're looking to do is I'd like to present on it, since there will be a longer presentation in June, and that essentially you would then have your public hearing and approval July 1. I'm not going to go through the details of the budget, since you just got a chance to look at it. And there will be some changes. For example, I didn't know what the extension was until about an hour ago. So I don't actually know what kind of income we guessed on income. We also are still getting information from IMRF about our liability, whether or not we want to add additional contributions to shore up that liability. And then I'm in the process of doing performance reviews in my office and making decisions about raises. So right now, this is basically just a tentative look at doing a cost of living increase. So instead of going into all of the details today, my suggestion is you have it so that you can begin to look at it, and that we'll actually be providing an updated version over the next few weeks as we get additional answers to some of the questions. The other piece is that I think the plan for the social service allocation portion is that it will come to the council next Monday with recommendations from our selection committee that included Mary Alice Wu And 2 staff members from my office who are frontline staff, and then 2 staff from the city staff. And that will be for your discussion, and then based on, what you decide, we can update the budget as well with the specific numbers for what would be in Cunningham Township's wheelhouse. So I'm happy if you had specific questions about the budget now, I'm happy to answer any questions you have. We're also, Wayne and I are available by phone or email, and we'll be making some additional changes to the budget going forward.
Mary Alice.
So I was looking at the GA, the general assistance numbers, and I'm wondering if you could clarify some things maybe in your future document about this. So in this year's budget, you have that we've spent approximately $414,000 for 125 participants, which is over the levied amount that we have. And then you project in next year's budget that we're only going to spend $336,000, which includes an increase to $280,000. Last year you had said that we were increasing it to $275,000, and this says that it's currently at $265,000. So I have 3 questions. My first question is, A, how much are we paying in GA? Are we paying the $275,000 or are we paying the $260,000? B, why is the projected number way less than what we're currently paying right now? So those are 2 questions, not 3, sorry.
So we're currently paying $265,000. We budgeted for $275,000, but because the GA rolls were shooting up so rapidly, I felt that we would not be able to meet budget. So I was waiting to level off. And essentially at this point, it looks like our first increase is going to be with the new year. The second, which was not your question but is relevant to the budget, is that we recently received a letter saying that DHS requires that the minimum assistance level be $304. So I had a meeting with Andy Kornstrom this morning to try to understand if this is mandatory or not. Should I basically be revising the budget for 304? Or because in this case, I'm looking at 280. The reason I set the number at 280 is because that's what the city of Champaign Township has been, and Andy and I are trying to basically queue up to have the exact same assistance level. But in the meeting this morning, he told me that he's considering going to the 304 because of this memo. What's interesting is the memo came very recently, but it says that the assistance levels needed to have been at that level since October of last year. So we're all very confused and trying to figure out what is being communicated. Then your second question has to do with, I'm projecting, because we're seeing it leveling out, I had budgeted for 125, and I think I'm budgeting for, I was just looking, I budgeted for 115 at 280 per month for 12 months. So the numbers came down in part because I think that we can level off at a lower number. Also, I hadn't looked at the caseload projections. So you'll see that there's a graph of the caseload projections going, actual caseload going back to the 70s. I was under the impression that the average was a little bit higher based on when I was on town board and kind of anecdotal evidence. And so that's why I wanted to pull the data to see what I thought would be more realistic numbers. So I've adjusted down. But now, in terms of dollars, I might need to adjust up if we're required to do the 304. And I don't particularly object to 304. I think that we should have done a better job of keeping up with inflation. I just would like to know if that's a requirement or not. So I'll be probably having a conversation with Fred here shortly, but that just came in the last few days. Does that answer your question?
It does. I guess the larger one is we're talking about roughly a difference of $80,000. So a difference from what we're spending right now in terms of what was projected to be spent next year, which is a decrease of $80,000. Does that cover 10 additional people?
Is it, are you looking at the personal allowances line item?
Yeah, so I'm actually looking at page 5 and page 6.
Okay.
So perhaps I'm
Page 5.
looking at apples and oranges.
5 and 6.
Personal allowance projections exceed the overall levy amount.
Yes.
budget general assistance program. So maybe that's the difference. If
Oh,
the difference
as a
between
result, I'm sorry, it should have said for the current year. So it's the personal allowance projections for the current year. We're at 414 if we had 125 participants. And that's basically what I'm quoting is I'm quoting the current year's budget that we budgeted for 14 for 125 participants. And if you look in the budgeted line item, that's about where we were at. And then that what is budgeted for the year we're in exceeds the overall levy amount
Right.
for the year that we're in. And that's what I was trying to point out. It may be that we can, that's part of why I'm kind of trying to rein in that levy. I mean, the projections for next year. That said, it's an entitlement, and so those who qualify for that, for the personal allowance will receive it. So if for some reason, God forbid we have a worse recession than we've experienced, I would anticipate that I would go up. If the economy does better this next year, we may come under our budgeted projection.
So that's not related to the top bullet point on page 6.
The top bullet point on page 6 is referring to the current budget year. And let me make sure that that's the right amount. It's not. It's, I'm sorry, there must be a typo. I said 336, but if you look in the budget, it's actually 386.
Okay, that makes more sense to me.
That's
I couldn't-
that's the
couldn't
problem,
figure out
and
the
it's a
80 grand.
$50,000 typo.
Okay, all right.
In the memo, not in the budget.
Yeah, I was reading the memo and muddling my way through the
Yeah.
budget. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. I'll correct that. Any other questions that folks have? Go ahead, Eric.
I'm gathering from what you said that this 304 is statewide and doesn't take account of cost of living difference between cities. And I just very quickly looked at the comparison between Urbana and Chicago, and our cost of living overall is about 30% less. Most of that is housing. Our housing costs are about half in Chicago. So I know we can't do anything about this mandate directly, but is it a point of discussion to raise with our representatives in Springfield that DHS should take different, cost of living in different cities into account when they make rules like this?
My understanding is that in large cities, general assistance doesn't exist because the township form of government looks different in those. And so I'm not sure exactly how general assistance is implemented in the city of Chicago.
Okay.
And Wayne is saying it's not. And then I think it shows up as a different program. And then the second is that it is the case that general assistance, and I've been reminded this of actually several folks who have walked in the office who had been on general assistance when it could pay their rent. And it $265 won't pay your rent, nor will 304. So, 380, Andy had actually said he was projecting to go up from the 280 that he was at, higher anyway. So it's not that, it's within field goal range, as they would say, from what we were kind of looking to do. So I'm not particularly concerned about that mandate. I just wanted to let the town board know that that's an example of the kind of thing that's kind of like a day-to-day shift in terms of new information coming in that we'll need to look into with the updated budget.
Bill?
I had a question about the SSI reimbursements. So far this fiscal year, we've only received $7,000 some dollars. And the budget was $25,000, and budgeting $20,000 for next year. It seems like when we get your reports, there's always, 10 or 15% of the people getting kind of preliminary SSI, that we expect to get SSI. Is that about right?
Yeah, it's
I don't have your
actually the
latest one,
number of
so.
people who are on the SSI rolls. It's usually close to half.
It's almost half.
Yeah, so it's significant in terms of our roles. That said, that there's many of them that we've seen like an 8-year process, 6-year process. I mean, it's been lengthy, if not impossible process, which is one of the things we're trying to correct. I overshot the budget estimate this year because I was overly ambitious that we would be able to implement the SOAR process, which we've trained our staff in, and we've trained 8 case managers across different agencies in. And there have been hiccups in implementing that and starting it and having people be able to use that and move people through the process. I'm also looking at lower bar ways, since it's a fairly case management heavy process that is focused on homeless individuals, looking at other ways in which we could help people put in good applications that are actionable. There's a lot of folks who, when almost everyone is applying by themselves. So we've been now meeting with, and open to meeting with any attorney in the community. There are only a few that do SSI, SSDI cases, and talking to them about how best to help people prepare their cases and when to use an attorney and when not. So I put 20,000 in partly because I now have I have 2 SOAR trained staff, and I brought in 1 part-time staff member who just works on this, who I think will pay for herself through the process. And she's already started on her first case. So I'm hoping that $20,000 will be more reasonable. The other thing I found is that the township, it's important that we have documentation in place to receive full reimbursement. And there were some practices in place where it didn't appear that we were renewing the contracts regularly and making sure that we got full reimbursement for the full time that someone is on GA. So I've done a full audit of everybody and their, what is called a DPA, their agreement to repay, and make sure that everybody is covered, that, that it's covered for the time that they've been on GA and that we're receiving full payments. So between those 2 things, that's why I think we'll see an increase in this next year. Maybe 20,000 is too ambitious, but I'd like to
They all
shoot for
seem
it.
pretty low to me, considering that half of our client cases.
It's because we just can't get approvals. We just can't, we're not getting approvals. People sit in a kind of purgatory called waiting for SSI for a very, very long time. And these are very sick people who have a clear medical verification to our office from their doctor that says they do not appear to be able to work and have they don't see in the foreseeable future their ability to work. But yeah, that system is another broken system. We're trying to crack open.
Fix one at a time, I guess. I did have another question on the health insurance for the assessor's office, going from 27,000 to 44,000. I know he'd like to add another position, but that shouldn't be that much difference. Why is the health insurance budgeted for so much more? Oh, wait, going from 44,000 to 69,000, that's the budget.
Yeah, it's 44 to 60. I'll let Wayne respond to that. What's that? You think it's a typo? What was your understanding? What was the percentage that you added? 8% is what he had projected. So we can take a look at that and see if we've over-projected on that.
Okay, thanks.
Do you want to speak into the microphone?
Can you speak at the microphone so folks the listening audience can hear you?
All right, so part of that was when we did the budget last year, I wasn't fully staffed for this year in terms of having 3 full-time employees. So I guess what our insurance costs would be based off the staff that I had. When I added basically our mix of staff and what they have, whether it's single coverage versus family coverage, that changed and that caused the increase in the health insurance for this year. Plus, we estimated an 8% increase in health insurance costs, but that was just a guess.
Okay, I was just kind of looking at the personnel under supervisor's office. Looks like health insurance was about less than 15% of total personnel costs, and in years it's closer to 20%. But yeah, I guess the mix could make a difference.
Any other questions?
Jared?
I'd like to move approval of this as the draft budget and put it on file so that we will be able to announce for the later issue of this budget. I don't know if that's all the right language. Just trying to go off Charlie's email.
Public hearing on July 1st.
Yeah, for the public hearing on July 1st.
Second.
Moved by Jared, seconded by Eric. Any further discussion? Do we need a roll call on this?
No, you're not. It's the motion to designate it as the tentative budget and set a hearing date.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion passes. Last up is a resolution T 2019-05-008R, which is a resolution authorizing a request to intervene in a formal hearing with the Illinois Property Tax Appeal Board.
Yeah.
Wayne?
If there's not further questions for me, I'm actually going to step out because I'm getting calls from my child, so. Thank you. Good
Thank you.
night.
So this is the Shop and Save parcel. This is to intervene in a 2018 case. We're actually already intervened in a 2017 case. So basically what happened, it hadn't been decided yet. They appealed the assessment in 2018 to the Board of Review, and then now they're appealing the Board of Review decision to PTAB. So this is basically continuing our intervention in that particular parcel. Are there any more questions, or?
Okay, I'll make a motion then. I think that's probably appropriate. Make a decision once, you want to continue with that decision. So I move that we adopt Resolution T 2019-05-008R, which is the resolution authorizing a request to intervene in a formal hearing with the Illinois Property Tax Appeal Board.
I'll second that. Go get 'em.
Moved by Dennis, seconded by Eric. Any further discussion? Jared?
Just a note that in the resolution provided, it is 000R. So I don't know if we need to.
Did I miss the zeros?
Well, one of them is wrong. Either the resolution number is wrong or the memo number is wrong. So just a point of order, when that actually goes into record, they should probably check and make sure that's the right number.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There's not an 8 in the actual document itself.
Yeah. the
I imagine it's supposed to be 8, but
Yeah, sometimes these go out before they're completely
note to the
indexed,
clerk.
so it'll be 008.
Thank you for noticing that. Any further discussion? Will the clerk, roll call? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustees Brown?
Yes.
Hazen? Yes. Hersey?
Yes.
Jacobson?
Yes.
Miller?
yes.
Roberts?
Yes.
And Wu.
Yes.
That motion passes. With no further business before the Cunningham Town Board, this meeting is adjourned.